Mm, I think I should say good morning or good evening. Yeah, good evening, everyone. It's 4th of August 2025. It's 2:17 a.m. Monday here. So, in this video, I'll be talking about the measurement of the interpupillary distance. Now, for that, what points I'm going to cover, what's the definition of the pupillary distance, interpupillary distance, binocular, monoocular interpupillary distance, and why to measure it, what's the significance of it, and what are the methods, the names of the instruments, methods, and epidemiology related to the interpupillary distance with the numerical values. So, definition of interpupillary distance, it is the distance between the center of pupils of the two eyes, especially in the orthophoric position, primary position, when in orthophoric conditions. So that's the definition of the interpupillary distance, a distance between the centers of the pupils of the both the eyes. And it's not always the center of the pupil. Sometimes in strabismic conditions and cooperative patients, you can just take the temporal margin of one eye and the nasal margin of the other eye, be it limbal margin or pupillary margin. In darker eyes, it's difficult to see the iris, so they take the limbal margin, but it's not very reliable. So what's the epidemiology of interpupillary distance? Age. It is smaller in children and it gradually increases with age and later on it stabilizes. So usually after 12 years it is stabilized, but in newborn babies it's 30 mm. Usually it's 30 mm, around 30 mm. In children around 5 years of age it becomes 40 mm, and in adults it is around 63 millimeter, 61.8 plus minus 6.2 millimeter. That's the normal value according to one research study. That article I'll share because I read that article around a week ago, so I'll have to search it and I'll put that article in the description box, the link of which I'll put in the description box, so you can see the values, like correct values, as a reference, to give the reference to your teachers or other people. And interpupillary distance is a little bit higher in males than in females. The males tend to have slightly greater interpupillary distance. Now, why we need this interpupillary distance? Like, why we should know our or patient's interpupillary distance? As an ophthalmologist, if you're an ophthalmologist, you should know your interpupillary distance. Why? Because there are so many instruments, be it slit lamp, be it operating microscope, even cyanotophore. So these binocular instruments, if the interpupillary distance is not adjusted, you won't get the clearer view and better field of vision, and also better stereopsis while operating, while seeing, while carrying out different eye examination at the slit lamp, different ocular structure examination on slit lamp. So it's very important to know your own interpupillary distance as an ophthalmologist. That's one thing, first thing. Then when you're prescribing the glasses to the patient, you should know interpupillary distance. You should mention the interpupillary distance. Why it's important? Because according to that, the spectacles and glasses are made, and to have the right optical center of that lens is very important, and it should coincide with the pupillary center. And if it is not coinciding, if it is decentered, the optical center is decentered, it's not aligning with the pupillary center, what happens? It has the prismatic effect, and prismatic effect, it will induce that it won't just have the spherical spherical component. It will have that convex concave component. It will have the prismatic effect also. So it will, if you have the it will undercorrect or hypercorrect the strabismus, or it will give that prismatic effect. It will induce that induce diplopia. So that's why it's very important for the spectacle prescription. And it's not just that, it also helps in identifying the facial asymmetry. It's either directly This distance you can measure using the simple rule that the methods I'll just describe later on in short. There are so many videos, better to go through the videos because they have actually carried out on subject like the proper patient, so you will get more confidence and more clarity watching these videos how it is done, how to measure the interpupillary distance rather than just listening to me. So facial asymmetry. See, there are methods, binocular and monocular method. So monocular method, it's very important to diagnose the facial asymmetry. Monocular means this eye, this center of the pupil of this eye from the center of the bridge of the nose. This eye, this distance is measured. That is monocular pupillary distance, and then this is measured. And if there is asymmetry, then it is indicative of the facial asymmetry, and it's very important. It can be seen in telecanthus and various syndromic conditions, and it's very important to mention the facial asymmetry and monocular distance and then the total interpupillary distance, so that it helps in prescribing the spatial glasses for such patients with facial asymmetry. This eye is different, this eye is different. You cannot just mention the interpupillary distance in case of the facial asymmetry. You should mention the monocular pupillary distance for such patients to prescribe the right glasses to have the clearer view and to not to induce the prismatic effect because of the decentration, optical decentration. Then another thing is, third thing is diagnosis of hypertelorism. Hypertelorism means lateralization of the orbit, entire orbit. Now what's the difference between the telecanthus and hypertelorism? Telecanthus means it's just one thing. The canthi, these are widely spaced, and this is seen in various conditions like Down syndrome, Klinefelter syndrome, Turner syndrome. Then what else is there? Fetal alcohol syndrome, Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, Cry-Richard syndrome. There are so many syndromes in which the telecanthus is there. And if there is a telecanthus doesn't always present with the hypertelorism. Hypertelorism, there is a telecanthus, but in telecanthus there is not hypertelorism always. So hypertelorism means lateralization of the orbital, entire orbit. Lateralization of the entire orbit is the hypertelorism. Sometimes it is just the medial wall that is lateralized, and that leads to the telecanthus, be it fracture, be it congenital or developmental bone anomalies. So in these conditions, soft tissue development or bony development, abnormal bony development, so there is this medial wall that's lateralized. So in such situations there is a telecanthus, but it is not the entire lateralization of the orbit. So when there is entire lateralization of the orbit, there is increase in the intercanthal distance, there is increase in the interpupillary distance, and there is increased outer canthal distance. Outer canthal distance means these two lateral canthi. So everything is increased in hypertelorism. Entire lateralization of the orbit is present. That is, in hypertelorism, telecanthus is present, but telecanthus doesn't mean hypertelorism. In telecanthus means widely separated medial canthi, and the distance is more than the normal values, and yeah. So there can be lateralization of the medial wall in telecanthus, but in hypertelorism the entire orbit is lateralized. So there is a telecanthus, there is increased IPD, and there is increased OCD, orbital canthal distance, lateral canthal distance, outer canthal distance. OCD means outer canthal distance, and there is another term that is called as orbital, interorbital distance. Now interorbital distance and intercanthal distance, inner canthal distance and interorbital distance, these are not similar things. This canthal distance is the distance between two medial canthi, and it is done at the level of the posterior lacrimal crest. And this interorbital distance, it is measured at the level of the dacryon. Dacryon is the point where the frontal bone, lacrimal bone, and maxillary bone, frontal process of the maxilla, these three bones, they meet together. That's the dacryon, and the distance between these dacryons, radiological assessment is there, CT scan. So on that if you can measure this interorbital distance, and it is increased in hypertelorism. It can be increased in the telecanthus also, but this increase in the distance doesn't mean that there is a hypertelorism. It can be, increased, but there won't be entire lateralization of the orbit. When there is entire lateralization of the orbit, that is called as hypertelorism. That's very important to know. And if you are further interested how the hypertelorism presents, there are different pictures and how the operating procedures are done. I'm going to share one webinar video, or like a nice video is there. Plastic surgeon, I forgot his name, but I'm going to share that video in the description box, the link of which I'm going to you know mention. You just go through the description box. After every study video, you go through the description box. There you will find the links of the videos which I watched and which I liked and which I want you to see. And this is something extra, this hypertelorism. It's like interesting. For the first time, I just went through so much detail about the hypertelorism, but I didn't go through so much about the surgeries to correct hypertelorism. There is some box osteotomy or some fascia surgery, something like that. Box osteotomy, I remember that he is mentioning about in that video. That video is very nice to understand different grades of the hypertelorism. There are different grades of it, like interpupillary distance normally is 63. If it is more than 65, 70, then it is increased IPD. Then increased ICD when it is more than 30 millimeters, then it is increased ICD. And OCD when it is more than 85, you can say more than 90 millimeters outer canthal distance, then it is increased in the outer canthal distance. And there are certain nice measurements here. There is one chart I'll share here about these values according to one research article. So depending upon the tacit classification based on the intercanthal distance, there are 3 degrees of hypertelorism. It is intercanthal distance or interorbital distance. First degree is, but these are not same. Intercanthal distance and interorbital distance are not same. Intercanthal distance between the medial canthi and interorbital distance between the dacryons. So it's very important. So, but here, according to tacit, it is based on the intercanthal distance. First degree, second degree, third degree. First degree, it's between 30 to 34 mm. Normally, it's less than 30 mm intercanthal distance. If it is more than 30, less than 34 or equal to 34, it's first degree. Second degree is 35 to 40 mm. Third degree is more than 40 mm. That's the classification of the hypertelorism based on the intercanthal distance. And classification of the hypertelorism based on the orientation of the medial orbital walls. Medial orbital walls, how they are oriented when there is entire lateralization of the orbit. And that's the classification given by there are 2 scientists, I forgot, Das or something. I forgot to mention right here. But if you go through that video, it's mentioned there. So type 1, type 2, type 3, type 4. Type 1, medial orbital walls are parallel. Type 2 is wedge-shaped walls and posteriorly. And type 3 is oval widest dimension. And type 4 is wedge-shaped anteriorly. Type 1 is parallel medial walls. Type 2 is wedge-shaped posteriorly. Type 4 is wedge-shaped anteriorly. And third is oval widest dimension. So these are the 2 classification systems of the hypertelorism, one based on the intercanthal distance, that is tacit, and another based on the CT scans, depending upon the orientation of the medial orbital walls. There are 4 types and there are 3 grades. So that was about the hypertelorism. So for the diagnosis of the hypertelorism, it's important, one of the index to diagnose hypertelorism, interpupillary distance. Yeah. So what are the methods? What do we need to measure the interpupillary distance, and what are the methods? We can use it. We can measure it using the ordinary scale that we have. This millimeter scale, 15 centimeter scale, 30 centimeter scale. You can just place it on the eyebrow level here, starting from the center of the pupil, either from the center of the pupil or from the temporal margin of the pupil, this side, or the temporal margin of the limbus in the primary position of the gaze, and examiner sitting at the arm level distance, and this side, either center of the pupils, to center of the pupils, or this temporal limbus or temporal pupillary edge to the nasal limbus or nasal pupillary edge, respectively, that distance. But it's not very correct method, and for that you just need to first close your left eye and then ask the patient to look at your right eye. Then you adjust the zero marking at the center of the pupil of the right eye of the patient, and patient is asked to patient should look at the left eye of the examiner, like that. And after that, after adjusting that zero mark at the center of the pupil or at the temporal edge of the pupil or limbus of the eye, whatever landmark you are going to take, then another, you close means examiner is going to close his or her left eye, and patient should look at examiner's right eye, and the left eye is looking at the right eye directly, right? Patient's left eye looking at the examiner's right eye, and at that position the center of the pupil is noted, and this way the distance between the two center of the pupil is measured, or temporal edge of pupil of this eye, nasal edge of the pupil of this eye, that's not very correct, and or temporal edge of the limbus of this eye and temporal edge of the limbus, nasal edge of the limbus of this eye. But these are not very correct methods. And then another method is using the ordinary scale you can use, and there is Poisson-Hardy rule or pupillary distance rule, PD rule, Poisson-Hardy rule, PH rule, or PD rule, pupillary distance rule. Poisson-Hardy rule, P-U-L-Z-O-N-E-H-A-R-D-Y rule. So you can use, it has got a slot or a notch to accommodate the bridge of the nose, and it is placed here, and then you just measure the distance in the primary position, in the primary gaze. The methods, you should watch the videos how it's carried out, so you can confidently carry out these tests. I'm going to share, I watched, like, I gave 3 hours for interpupillary distance. I watched so many videos just to gain confidence how to do it, because we used to do auto refractometer, and these manual methods are not very reliable. So you can use Poisson-Hardy rule, then ordinary scale you can use, then you can use it, you can use synaptophore. Now forget about how it is done at the synaptophore. I have never ever seen synaptophore in real in my entire life up till now, like throughout my post-graduation and even after that. I have never used the synaptophore. So how it is carried out, like how the interpupillary distance is measured using those slides in synaptophore, with synaptophore, that I don't have any idea about. So 4th thing is using autorefractometer, and 5th thing is using pupillometer. Pupillometer, there is a nice video how the pupillometer is used, and with pupillometer we can use get the interpupillary distance value at near, intermediate distance, and at distance. So when you have the IPD value at the distance using pupillometer, you can subtract 4 mm to get the near distance IPD for the near, and subtract -2 mm to get the IPD for the intermediate distance. So that's the very rough thing for the estimation. So it is used without the glasses, and to confirm the optical centers of the glasses, whether they are coinciding with the optical centers or pupillary center of the eye. For that also, on the glasses also, they with the torch they mark the centers coinciding with the pupillary center, and then they measure the IPD in between the 2 optical centers of the glasses, and that procedure is also given by the opticians on the YouTube. That also you see for your knowledge and information. So what are the 5 things or 5 instruments with which we can measure the interpupillary distance? One is ordinary scale, ordinary rule, that we have 15 centimeter, 30 centimeter, which has millimeter markings, so that we can use. Another use pupillary distance, PD rule, pupillary distance rule, or the other name is Poisson-Hardy rule, PULZONE, Poisson-Hardy rule, which has the slot or notch to accommodate the bridge of the nose. Then third thing is using autorefractory machine that you can use to measure the interpupillary distance. Another thing is pupillometer you can use. And how the distance is measured with a pupillometer at the near distance and intermediate is nicely given in one video that I'm going to share in the description, the link of which I'm going to share in the description box. And fourth thing is synoptophore. So ordinary scale, then Poisson-Hardy rule or pupillary distance rule, then autorefractive machine, then pupillometer, and fifth thing is synoptophore. So synoptophore, I don't know how it's carried out, but there are certain slides that they use to measure the interpupillary distance. So these are the 5 instruments and 5 methods to use the interpupillary distance. So that was all about the interpupillary distance, its definition, its values, its epidemiology, how it changes with the age and the gender, then why it's important, why we should know the interpupillary distance of the doctor. As an ophthalmologist, why you should know your IPD and also patient's IPD, that's important. So that I have discussed about it. So which are the conditions? Diagnose hypertelorism, to diagnose the facial asymmetry, so monoocular and binocular distance. Binocular means simultaneously center of the pupil, and monocular means this separately and this separately, and then you add. So that is the thing. And just to confirm the monocular with the binocular, monoocular separately, then binocular separately, and then you subtract binocular with one of the monocular and see and to get the other binocular. Just get the binocular distance and monocular distance separately and add the monocular distance and see if it is coinciding with the binocular one. So for detection of the hypertelorism, telecanthus, facial asymmetry, to see through the operating microscope, and slit lamp, synoptophore for the better stereopsis and better visual field and better clarity. It's very important to know your IPD as an ophthalmologist. And then for prescribing the glasses, especially facial asymmetry patients, so optical center should coincide with the pupillary center to avoid the prismatic effect, because optical center decentration has the prismatic effect. So that's the significance of it. And methods, definition, epidemiology, changes with age and sex, how to measure it, the methods, there are 5 methods, and why it's important to measure the IPD. Yeah. So this was all about the interpupillary distance. I hope you like this video, because no one has I didn't see any video integrating all these 5 methods. These are better videos than mine, because obviously they have the animation effects and they have the subject and they have the instruments in their hand. So you go through these videos, and as a revision last you come here, so that you will get nicely the significance of it. It's all things I have combined here as notes. It's a good video as long as I'm concerned, like it will be good for me to watch it as a revision, nice revision, because I have combined so many articles and so many videos here. In the description box there are so many nice links I have shared, how the pupillometer is used and how this ordinary scale is used, how the Poisson-Hardy or pupillary distance rule is used, and we all know how the autorefractive machine is used, and we get the IPD there. So Yeah, it's a good video to integrate all the knowledge, provided you go through these links. Then only this video will be beneficial to you, because you will have to visualize so many things watching this video. So better you go through the videos, the links of which I have shared in the description box, and then you watch my video. It will, like, you will feel good, because I have integrated all the knowledge of all the videos and articles. And the book I have used only Pradeep Sharma. Yeah, I think that's enough. Bye everyone, good night.